This video is intended to be used in conjunction with the written instructions that came with your product, S&C Instruction Sheet 461-521. You can download this instruction sheet at snc.com. The TripSaver II Cutout-Mounted Recloser operates at high voltage. Failure to observe these precautions will result in serious personal injury or death. Some of these precautions may differ from your company's operating procedures and rules. Where a discrepancy exists, follow your company's operating procedures and rules. Pairing a TripSaver II Recloser with the TripSaver II Communications Gateway allows remote access to that recloser via DNP3 protocol messaging delivered by the customer's communications network. One communications gateway can be paired with up to 4 TripSaver II Reclosers using encrypted IEEE 802.15.4 wireless communications. To pair with a communications gateway, these reclosers must be installed within 100 feet, S&C recommends up to 30 feet for optimal performance, of the communications gateway. It should also be furnished with the extended open interval option, which allows up to a 30-second open interval between reclose operations, and have gateway mode enabled using the Service Center configuration software. Once a TripSaver II Recloser is paired with the gateway, they must be installed together and cannot be mixed with other pairings or sets. This video will provide step-by-step instructions to pair a TripSaver II Cutout-Mounted Recloser with the communications gateway. To perform these procedures, you will need a TripSaver II Cutout-Mounted Recloser with the extended open interval option, a TripSaver II Communications Gateway, the TripSaver II Service Center Configuration Kit, including the power module, AC cord, and USB transceiver, the S&C magnet tool, or a suitably strong magnet, and an Ethernet cable. There are different ways to pair a TripSaver II Recloser that depend on the firmware version. We will cover each, but in each case, the TripSaver II Recloser must be placed in gateway mode in the Service Center. To enable gateway mode, first, connect to the TripSaver II Recloser using the Service Center configuration software and the Service Center configuration kit. For detailed instructions, see S&C Instruction Sheet 461-504 and our video on the Service Center configuration kit. Both can be found on snc.com. Navigate to the Communication Settings menu and click on the Communications Mode drop-down box. Change the communications mode to Gateway Mode. Then click on the Apply Communications Mode button. Note that the Apply Communications Mode button will not apply any changes made on any other menu screens. If changes have been made to another menu screen, such as the TCC Curve Settings screen, click on the Apply button. The TripSaver II Recloser is now in Gateway mode and can be paired with the TripSaver II Communications Gateway. Disconnect the TripSaver II Recloser from the Service Center configuration software by clicking on the Disconnect button. In order to disconnect a TripSaver II Recloser from a gateway and then connect with a new, different gateway, the Recloser should have Gateway Mode disabled and re-enabled. This should be done at the Service Center. Now that the TripSaver II Recloser is in Gateway mode, you must connect the communications gateway with a PC in order to configure it. The gateway must be powered either on the utility pole or in the Service Center. To connect to the communications gateway with a PC, first connect a Cat5 Ethernet cable to the Ethernet port on your PC. Connect the other end of the Ethernet cable to Ethernet port 1 on the green Gateway Controller module inside the Communications Gateway cabinet. The Communications Gateway is accessed using a web browser interface. To join the Communications Gateway network, select the PC's LAN address settings, then set the PC's network address to Obtain an IP address automatically and Obtain DNS server address automatically. The default configuration of the Communications Gateway's IP gateway is 192.168.1.1 with the DHCP set as ON. Alternately, A static IP address within the 192.168.1.x network may be used. After allowing approximately 3 minutes for the communications gateway to boot, a confirmation the PC has successfully joined the communications network may be observed by launching an MDOS command window and running ipconfig/all at the command prompt. An output showing all the IP interfaces for the host system will appear. Identify the Ethernet port that is connected to the communications gateway. A successful connection will display the IP address of the communications gateway. Now launch a web browser on the PC. Within the URL address line, type in the communications gateway default IP address of 192.168.1.1 and press the return key. The login screen will open with a username and password request. The default username and password can be requested by contacting S&C Electric Company, either by calling the Global Support and Monitoring Center or by going to the S&C Customer Portal. With firmware version 3.1 and later, the default password for the admin user must be changed before proceeding. If the default password is still being used on the device, a notice will be presented to change the admin password. The new password must be at least 8 characters with at least 1 uppercase and 1 lowercase character. Numbers and special characters are also allowed but not required. Space, tab, ampersand characters are not allowed. After a successful login, the browser will open to the Communications Gateway General Status screen with an Application Navigation menu on the left side of the screen. The navigation menu will remain visible for all subordinate menu interface screens. With the PC connected to the gateway, we can pair the gateway to a TripSaver II Recloser. S&C recommends pairing TripSaver II Reclosers one at a time. This will ensure each device is fully and securely connected before pairing the next device. When paired, the TripSaver II Recloser will only communicate with its paired gateway using a secure encrypted protocol. The security keys used to encrypt the communications are unique to the pair and cannot be transferred between TripSaver II Reclosers or gateways. For TripSaver II Reclosers furnished with firmware version 1.6 or 1.7, pairing can only be performed with the TripSaver II Recloser powered by line current or from an external power source. For details on the specifications for an external power source, contact your S&C sales representative. The TripSaver II Recloser must be in gateway mode, as described earlier. Power the communications gateway by connecting it to AC power. Optimal performance is achieved when the TripSaver II Cutout-Mounted Recloser is installed within 30 feet with unobstructed line of sight on the same pole directly above the gateway. Of the TripSaver II Recloser to be paired, connect to the communications gateway with a PC as described earlier. Under Device Management, click on the Add TripSaver II Cutout-Mounted Recloser button. A pop-up menu will appear. Enter the TripSaver II Recloser's transceiver ID and device name. Click on the OK button. The communications gateway will connect to the TripSaver II Recloser and it will appear in the TripSaver II Device Management screen. This should take approximately 5 minutes and you'll need to refresh the screen to see a status change. If the TripSaver II Recloser does not pair, see the troubleshooting section at the end of this video and in the written instructions. To pair a TripSaver II Recloser with firmware 1.8 installed to a gateway in the service center without the requirement of line current or an external power source, first, power the communications gateway by connecting it to an AC power source. Then, connect the communications gateway to a PC as described earlier. Power the TripSaver II Recloser to be paired with the corded power module. Instructions for using the power module can be found in S&C Instruction Sheet 461-504 and in the Service Center Configuration Kit video. Attach the S&C magnet tool to the side of the TripSaver II Recloser with the green S&C logo. This will turn on communications inside the TripSaver II Recloser, allowing it to be paired with the communications gateway. Now, navigate to the Device Management screen. Click on the Add TripSaver II Cutout-Mounted Recloser button. A pop-up menu will appear. Enter the TripSaver II Recloser's transceiver ID and device name. Then, click on the OK button. The communications gateway will connect to the TripSaver II Recloser, and it will appear in the TripSaver II Device Management screen. This method can also be used at the installation site on TripSaver II Reclosers furnished with firmware version 1.8 installed on the utility pole that are not powered by line current. Instead, power the recloser by using the cordless power module and then applying the magnet tool. In no case should the corded power module be used at the installation site with the TripSaver II Recloser installed on the utility pole. In some cases, it may take up to 15 minutes. If the gateway does not register as paired, mitigate any signal interference by moving the TripSaver II Recloser closer to the gateway. Optimal performance is achieved when the TripSaver II Cutout-Mounted Recloser is installed within 30 feet with unobstructed line of sight on the same pole directly above the gateway. Also, heavy use of Bluetooth devices, cellular devices, or Wi-Fi can cause interference. If the gateway still does not pair, the recloser should be removed from the pole. Then, using the Service Center configuration software and Service Center configuration kit, be taken out of gateway mode and put back into gateway mode before pairing again. We hope you found this video informative. If you have any questions, please visit our website at sandc.com.